The atom was supposed to give us unlimited energy, clean power, a better future. Instead, 10 times, it gave us something else entirely. These are the 10 worst nuclear disasters in human history, and some of them the world tried very hard to hide. Number 10. Chalk River, Canada. 1952. December 1952. Chalk River Laboratories, Ontario, Canada. A reactor shutoff rod failed. Workers made several errors. The reactor produced more than double its rated power output. The core partially melted. It was the world's very first nuclear reactor accident. Nobody had a playbook. Nobody knew what to do. One of the men sent in to help clean up the mess was a young U.S. Navy officer named Jimmy Carter, who would later become the 39th President of the United States. He described crawling into the reactor in small groups, absorbing radiation doses, and dismantling it piece by piece. The world's first nuclear disaster, and no one had even heard of it. Number 9. SL-1 Reactor, Idaho, USA, 1961. January 3, 1961. Idaho Falls, USA. 3 military men arrived to restart an experimental reactor after an 11-day shutdown. One of them manually withdrew a control rod, far further than the 4 inches the manual required. He raised it 20 inches. The result was instant. The reactor went critical in less than a millisecond. A steam explosion launched the entire 1,000-kilogram reactor cap into the ceiling. All 3 men died. One was pinned to the ceiling by a steel rod blown from the reactor. It took 10 days to recover the bodies because the radiation levels inside were so extreme. It remains the only fatal reactor accident in United States history. Number 8. Tokaimura, Japan, 1999. September 30, 1999. A uranium processing plant in Tokaimura, Japan. 3 workers poured uranium solution into a tank, far too much at once. The uranium went critical. A blue flash of light appeared. It's called Cherenkov radiation, the unmistakable glow of a criticality event. One worker absorbed 17 sieverts of radiation. The lethal dose for a human is 8. He received more than double the dose that guarantees death. His body began to deteriorate. His skin blistered and peeled. His chromosomes were so damaged they were unrecognizable. He survived for 83 days. The last weeks of his life are documented in photographs that medical staff say they can never unsee. 2 workers died. 56 more were exposed. Tokaimura closed permanently. Number 7. Goiânia, Brazil, 1987. September 13, 1987. 2 scrap metal collectors broke into an abandoned hospital in Goiânia, Brazil. They found a strange machine. They dismantled it and sold parts to a junkyard owner named Dever Ferreira. Inside the machine was a small capsule of cesium-137, a highly radioactive material from an old radiotherapy device. Ferreira cracked it open. Inside glowed a beautiful, shimmering blue powder. He invited friends and family to come see the magical, glowing substance. His wife rubbed it on her body like glitter. Children played with it. Within days, people began dying. 4 people died. 249 were contaminated. 13 houses were demolished. 14,000 people came forward for screening. Some are still dying from it today. Number 6. 3 Mile Island, USA, 1979. March 28, 1979, 4 o'clock in the morning. 3 Mile Island Nuclear Plant, Pennsylvania. An electrical failure. A pressure valve opened automatically, then failed to close. The reactor core began to melt. Radioactive steam escaped into the air. And because of faulty indicator lights, the plant operators had absolutely no idea any of this was happening. By the time they understood what was going on, the situation had been deteriorating for hours. The governor of Pennsylvania asked pregnant women and young children within 5 miles to evacuate. Over 100,000 people fled in the following days. No confirmed deaths occurred from the radiation itself. But America's faith in nuclear power was gone. No new nuclear plants were ordered in the United States for the next 34 years. Number 5. Windscale Fire, UK. 1957. October 10, 1957. Windscale Nuclear Facility, Northwest England. Workers noticed the reactor's temperature was rising abnormally. The graphite core had caught fire. For 2 days, the reactor burned. Workers tried carbon dioxide. They tried cooling fans. The fans made it worse, sending radioactive particles into the air in huge quantities. Finally, a senior engineer made a desperate decision: flood the burning reactor with water. It was a massive gamble. Water and burning uranium could cause an explosion. It didn't. The fire was stopped on October 12th, but a radioactive cloud had already blown across the United Kingdom and into Europe. 240 cancer cases have since been directly linked to the Windscale fire. The British government suppressed the true severity of the report for decades. Number 4. Kyshtym disaster, Soviet Union, 1957. September 29, 1957. The Mayak nuclear plant, Soviet Union. A storage tank for nuclear waste had its cooling system fail. The temperature inside rose until the contents exploded with the force of 70 to 100 tons of TNT. A radioactive plume rose 800 meters into the sky and drifted for 300 square miles. Here is the detail that makes this story extraordinary. The city of Ozyorsk, where the plant was located, did not exist on any official Soviet map. It was a secret city. When residents began to develop mysterious illnesses, skin falling off, bleeding from the gums, hair loss, they were not told why. It took a full week to evacuate 10,000 people. And the Soviet Union kept this disaster completely secret from the world for 30 years. Number 3. Fukushima, Daiichi, Japan, 2011. March 11, 2011. Japan. A magnitude 9.1 earthquake. Then, a 40-meter tsunami. The Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant's cooling systems were overwhelmed. 3 of its 6 reactors melted down over the following days. Over 200,000 people were evacuated. Entire towns were abandoned. Homes, cars, pets, and possessions simply left exactly as they were and never returned to. Today, towns near Fukushima remain ghost cities frozen in 2011. Schools still have the children's belongings on the desks. Shops still have food on the shelves. The plant is still leaking radioactive water into the Pacific Ocean. The full cleanup is not expected to be complete until 2051, 40 years after the disaster. Number 2. Castle Bravo, Marshall Islands, 1954. March 1, 1954. The United States detonated a hydrogen bomb at Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. They expected a 6-megaton explosion. What they got was 15 megatons. More than 1,000 times the power of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. It was the largest nuclear detonation ever conducted by the United States. 3 entire islands were vaporized. A radioactive cloud spread for over 7,000 square kilometers. The crew of a Japanese fishing boat called the Lucky Dragon was 150 kilometers away. All 23 of them were contaminated. 1 died. The indigenous Marshallese people who lived on the surrounding islands were evacuated. Many never returned. Their islands are still contaminated. Their descendants still suffer from radiation-linked cancers today. It wasn't called a disaster, it was called a test. Number 1. Chernobyl, Ukraine, 1986. April 26, 1986, 1:23 in the morning. Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant, Ukraine. A safety test went wrong. A reactor design flaw combined with human error created a sudden power surge. Reactor number 4 exploded. The 1,000-ton steel lid of the reactor was blown into the sky. A lethal cloud of radioactive material, 400 times greater than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, began drifting across Europe. The nearby city of Pripyat, 50,000 people, was not evacuated until 36 hours after the explosion. People went to work, children went to school, couples got married, all while the invisible cloud settled over them. 500,000 workers, called liquidators, were sent in to contain the disaster. Many knew they were going to their deaths. They were given medals and told they were heroes. Over 30,000 of them have since died from radiation-related causes. 335,000 people were permanently displaced. The reactor was eventually entombed in concrete. In 2016, a new steel containment arch, the largest movable structure ever built, was slid over the old sarcophagus. It cost 2 billion euros. And even with all of that, the elephant's foot, a solidified mass of radioactive corium still sitting beneath the reactor, will remain deadly for the next 100,000 years. Chernobyl, the worst nuclear disaster in human history, and the town of Pripyat, where 50,000 people once lived, is still empty today. The atom is the most powerful force humanity has ever controlled, and the most dangerous one it has ever failed.